What is up, everybody? My name is Justin French, covering music for those who care, and right now I'm taking a look at my top 10 best albums of the year. That's right, I said my top 10 best. Now, the previous videos I've done are my top 10 worst albums of the year, which came in 2 parts. You can watch that if you'd like to subscribe to my channel. I'm sure you'll find it there. And by the time I get done filming this, I'm pretty positive that I've already released my top 10 worst songs of 2017 in less than a minute. So, yeah, if you definitely want to check out those videos, go to my channel, and they're certainly on there somewhere. But anyways, I kind of want to think of this video to be a little different because if you're a theater student and you've seen like the 2 masks, there's usually one with a smiley happy face. I kind of like to think of that as the worst albums because I tried to go a little comedic on that. And this one is more of the sad. I kind of cut most of the humor out, except it'll come in a couple little parts, but nothing too major like that video. So anyways, before we get started with the actual list, I have a couple honorable mentions that I'd like to get out of the way, so let's go. Roll clip. Man, this album had some good progressive pop jams on it. Wish I would have gotten to it around the time it came out. I was hooked on their SNL performance earlier in the year, and afterwards I picked up the album and it made me see how good of a release this was for them. Probably some of Tyler's most mature work to date, and this album had some pretty good hip-hop and soul jams mixed in. And now we get on with our top 10 best albums of the year list. So coming in as my first top 10 pick for best album of the year, we have nothing more with our albums, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. Now, what can I say about this album that I haven't said already? The musicianship on this record is fantastic. I love the songs and the lyrics on this thing, and Johnny Hawkins, the lead singer of this band, has a soaring vocal range, especially on this record. Go to War and Don't Stop were released as the first singles to this album, and while Go to War featured more of the harder rock edge that the band is known for, Don't Stop takes a detour into funk territory, which is actually pretty well done. And there's also a lot of other moments that I really like about this record. You have the political message on Let 'Em Burn. You have a ripping drum intro in The Great Divorce. Now, talk about an album full of energy within an hour's runtime. That's what this band has in its sound. Even slower moving ballads such as Still in Love and the beautiful acoustic ballad, which is Just Say When, which some people seem to dislike, but I loved it. And there's even a fun little track called Funny Little Creatures, and it's a really fun tune to drive to. But this album does end on a more somber, emotional kind of tone with the track Fade In, Fade Out, which talks more about morality, which I think that was the standout track to that album. But overall, if you're into alternative metal mixed in with a bit of progressive and hard rock, then this album is definitely for you. I would recommend this all the way. Coming in as my number 9 pick on Best Album of the Year list, believe it or not, we have HAIM with their album, Something to Tell You. So Elizabeth, a classmate and friend of mine, had requested me to review this record, and surprising enough as it is, ever since I reviewed the record, I've been coming back to a lot of these songs, especially in the first half. I mean, I think some of the songs that really are coming back to me as much is lead-off single, Want You Back, which kind of featured more of a funky bass groove in the chorus. And I just love the vocals from Danielle Haim. I think that's the song that keeps pulling me into listening more. And then you have other tracks like Little of Your Love, which is kind of a throwback to more, I kind of want to say 70s Fleetwood Mac-ish kind of pop rock. And then you have more of a gospel-infused tune in the song Nothing's Wrong. Wow, I can't believe it. It's already been 5 minutes in. I'm already saying nothing again. How many times do I have to say it in this video? But anyways, I do stand by my stance whenever I did say that I felt the second half was a lot weaker than the first half. But I mean, it still has a great song such as Kept Me Crying, because I just fucking love that guitar tone and the solo that ends the track. Now, Right Now was a track that I didn't come back to as much, but I've been coming back to it a lot recently. But overall, this is a pretty good 70s throwback pop record, if you're into that kind of stuff. Now, one thing I do have to say to HAIM, though, before we move on to number 8. Yes, so could you please not make us wait another 4 years for another record? I'm already excited for the next release. Okay? We bueno? Okay, cool, good. Next up, as my number 8 pick, we have Damn by Kendrick Lamar. Damn is the right reaction I had after I heard this thing. I think the one element that sparked my interest into listening more to this record is that U2 are featured on the track Triple X, and U2's part takes portion of their track American Soul, which is featured on their newer record, Songs of Experience. And I have to say that ever since this album came out on April 14th, it was a surprise release, by the way, I freaking still love the hell out of that track. And Humble, the first single that was released, I didn't think it would be as big as I thought it would be. But it's a jam. It gets you in the mood. And I just always sing along to that chorus. It's great. And a track called Loyalty, which features Rihanna on it, I think that blends very melodically. And adding her was a great touch-up. Now, what else can I say about this album? But damn. Well, it's a lot better than any other rapper out there this year. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Coming in as my number 7 pick, we have Rainbow by Kesha. Now, ever since 2014, Kesha has been going through a lot of stuff. Very personal stuff. And, you know, I was kind of wondering how she would kind of approach this new record. And I have to say that this album hits it out of the park. Retaining some of her pop sound, she mixes a bit of other genres such as country and rock into the fray. God, I miss the fray. God, I miss the fray. God, I miss the fray. Where was I? Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, Kesha, that's right. So, with tracks such as the funky, soul-styled Woman, which features the Dap King's horns, Let 'Em Talk, which features Eagles of Death Metal, who are also featured on the album on the track Boogie Feet. Let me make a disclaimer real quick. Eagles of Death Metal are not a death metal band. I repeat, they are not a death metal band. Just because it's in the name doesn't make them death metal. Listen to them. And there's even a cover of Dolly Parton's song Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, which Parton is also featured on. And fun fact, I bet you didn't know this. Kesha's mother, Patricia P.B. Siebert, I'm probably butchering that. Please don't crucify me in the comment section down below for that. But her mom had actually written that track in the 70s. The more you know. I felt that Praying was a great lead-off single just because of everything that's been going on in her life since the release of Warrior. I'm kind of sad that this album didn't get as much attraction. Yeah, it did have a good single, which didn't peak in the top 20. It did peak in the top 40. And this album did go to number 1, but this album hasn't really had much traction ever since. And I'm kind of sad about that, especially with one of my top 3 picks of Album of the Year. I'll definitely be talking about that a little more. So definitely stay tuned for that. Coming in as my number 6 pick for all you metalheads out there, we have Ritual by In This Moment. This is a fantastic metal release that came out in the middle of the summer of this year. And on this record, we do see that the band is trying to strip away from the sex appeal from the previous 2 releases and try to go for more of a raw instrumentational side of things. And I have to say that it works. Now, the electronics do appear a little bit on this record, as evidenced with the second to last track, which is Roots, which is also their new single that they've released. And I have to say that it definitely has a good balance between the heavy-hitting guitars and the electronics. And I think Maria's vocals sound as great as ever on this release. There's even a cover of Phil Collins' classic, In the Air Tonight. And I have to say that this song does have a great balance between the dark atmosphere that the original had. And I just love the great build-up to those memorable drums that you know from the original. Those really come in pretty good on this record too. Now, tracks such as No Me Importa, which means I don't care, River of Fire, and there's even a duet with Judas Priest vocalist Rob Halford on the track Black Wedding, which kind of is a pun off of Billy Idol's track White Wedding. But those tracks just make me want to come listen to it more. It's a great follow-up to the previous 2 releases, and I'm really excited to see where the band takes it next.